The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the main streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm sitting here at 317 Gimmick Street, coming up with the open to this podcast. Today is part 2 of my conversation with Bob Holly. And you can check out Bob Holly's book he wrote some time ago, The Hardcore Truth, the Bob Holly story. I got 2 issues of the damn book. Bob sent me one back in the day, and I bought one off Amazon. Jesus Christ, Amazon. You can get anything on Amazon. Thoroughly enjoyed the book. Awesome book. Bob did a great job. Bob tells it like it is, whether you like it or not, and that's the bottom line. That's why I've always enjoyed talking with Bob, working with Bob, and a few times that we travel together. But anyway, Bob's into all kinds of things these days, and turns out we got a lot in common with the camping, all that stuff, four-wheel driving, and I hope he gets to be a part of that thing he's trying to get a hold of alone, or whatever it's called. I wish Bob all the luck in that, but if he gets on it, I guarantee you it will take a lot to make Bob Holly tap out. Nonetheless, part 2 of my conversation with Hardcore Holly. Dude, like I said, will tell you like it is. Good dude.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
What was your opinion or mindset now that you've been out of the business for quite some time, as you look back and reflect, or I'm asking you to reflect, like, what do you think, how would you describe the boys?
Like right now?
Just in general, because, I mean, like, people ask me, they'll say, hey, man, it had to have been fun traveling, all around the world and doing that wrestling stuff. And I said, yeah, man, I mean, you're dealing with some of the greatest guys in the world, some of the biggest derelicts, some of the craziest people, some scum of the earth, and some just totally awesome. The guys, when I said the boys, I mean, now it's the women too, the women that are around. And back in the day, like Sherry and Medusa, they were the boys. But yeah, just the mentality. I mean, because, dude, to me, I'm a huge MMA fan. I really like to watch the UFC pay-per-views. I think you have to be wired specifically to do anything. But when you're talking about whether it's MMA or pro wrestling, then you're kind of really taking extreme personalities. So as you look back, I mean, what are your thoughts on the boys or the crowd you ran with, or do you think they're different than the people you see and deal with in your regular everyday life now?
Honestly, I mean, they're no different than the people I run around with every day, because the thing is, everybody in the wrestling is a huge personality. You have some of the smartest people in the world, and also you have some of the dumbest people in the world. But for the most part, those guys a lot of them were fun to be around. And we had a fun locker room. I always thought we did.
Yes, I did too.
And everybody was just always fun to be around. They were always there to help you out in any way they could. And that's the thing with the boys. There was a camaraderie there where we were a tight-knit group of guys that we loved what we did, and we looked after each other. And so, some of us did, for the most part, most everybody looked after you. There are some guys that just, they cared about themselves and that was it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go into all that, but I think we know who we're talking about without mentioning names. But for the most part, everybody helped everybody out as far, if you had, hey, I need help with a promo or something, like, you were always one of the guys that offered your, advice to somebody else. Hey, this is what you're going to have to do to get here and from point A to point B. And if you want to make it to this level, you have to go here. You had guys always helping everybody, trying to get to that level. And so I thought we always ran with a great group of people. To me, most of the guys were awesome people to hang out with and to ride with, because you can learn so much from each. You learned a lot from each different person. And that was the most important thing, was learning from each one, especially when you're working with everybody, because everybody we worked with worked different, obviously, and some worked the same. But I mean, you pick up different things from each person, and everybody was there to make everybody better. And that's what I liked about our group of guys. They made you step up, and that was the thing. So it's like, we had a great group of guys. We really did. To me, as far as personality wise, yeah, we had a great, we had big personalities because that's what it takes to be in the wrestling business. You had to have that personality that stood out from everybody else that's walking around on the street, and that's what it takes. And but as far as most of the guys are down to earth. That's the thing. It's like most everybody is just like anybody else, except when you're on TV, that volume's turned way up.
I thought there was I always kind of considered it like an inner circle because, we were the boys. We were in I don't know, the business of pro wrestling. Not everybody, you've had all your exposés, this, that, or whatever, people breaking kayfabe. But I mean, the business is a work, but I always thought we were kind of something special. And it was like a family. And there was a lot of camaraderie, like you said. You spent a lot of time in different guys with different cars and stuff like that, or most of the time a lot of people travel with the same guys week in, week out. But as much camaraderie as it was, and you're all in it together because y'all trying to draw a house. But I always thought it was highly competitive. I mean, nobody ever wished you to have an injury when you went out. But, dude, if you got hurt, your spot was gone and you was going to be on the sideline. And when television came around or even on the house shows, man, as much of a work as it is together as far as cooperation of, trying to have matches with everybody and have the best match you can, it was extremely competitive, very competitive. I mean, it was like as much as we liked each other, dude, you had to fight tooth and nail to keep your spot.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why every time I went out, Steve, honestly, I felt like I was on audition. So I went out, no matter how bad I was feeling or how tired I was feeling, I went out and gave everything I could and left nothing on the table because I knew the guys coming after me were going to try to outperform me or going to try to steal the show. Even the guys opening the show, they're going to try to steal the show. Even though the opening match is supposed to be a good match to start the show with, those guys are going to try to steal the show. So you were always having to step up and perform at the highest level every single night because there was always somebody that was trying to outdo you, even though, we were all good, tight-knit family and good friends that do anything for each other. But it was just a competitive nature in everybody that wanted to step up and wanted to do, okay, I just saw him have a good match. They went all out. I've got to try to upstage them. And that's what you do. And that's the wrestling business.
In reading your book, you speak very highly of Steve Blackman, about how tough that guy is. And I always heard how tough he was. And I think you recanted the story about the incident between JBL and Steve Blackman at the Kansas City airport. It was a morning flight. Everybody was trying to get their bags. And, JBL had been just ribbing Steve for a long time, and Steve had finally had enough. And there was a couple of swings. I mean, it sounded like just a bunch of air. And then I guess Steve was about to throw a kick. He had stepped in the strap of a damn duffel bag. I saw it. I was right there. You told the story exactly like it happened. But anyway, so the fight never really took place like it could have. Maybe like, Blackman was pissed.
Yeah, it wasn't the last.
You said you rolled a lot or a few times with Steve. So I knew he was a martial artist. He always had that great physique. He wasn't a drinker or partier, to my knowledge. Always looked like $1 million. Always on time. Just a steady dude and a good dude. And you knew him better than I did. But come on, dude, was he that bad?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. Let me tell you something. That whole thing with that Brawl For All, he was dead serious as far as hurting people. I mean, this guy, I kid you not, Steve, he's not anybody to mess with. I mean, I pushed his buttons on purpose.
Yeah.
But I knew my boundaries. I knew my limitations. I knew how far I could go with him because I knew Steve. And I wasn't about to push him over that edge where, I was going to come up missing.
Right.
Because that would have, that like, Steve is no joke. I'd put him in the same class as Ming, basically. Like, I'd put those two
really
right there. Yeah. Steve's dangerous. He's dangerous. And in fact, I talked to him actually probably about maybe 5-6 weeks ago for the first time in years. Yeah, he's somebody that Steve's one of those kind of guys where if you're messing with him and just joking around, he questions, okay, is this guy really messing with me, or is he wanting to start something? You know, and he's always that serious. But he's a good dude. He's funny, one of the nicest people you'd ever meet. But he's just somebody that he's dangerous. He's just flat dangerous.
Okay, but what's his skill set? Because, like, when you say Ming, he had that throat goozle where he could grab a guy and basically the guy would stop breathing. He would gouge an eye. He could kick you. I mean, strikes. And obviously, I mean, the guy was just super, super solid, maybe 6'2", 300 pounds, whatever it was. He was super solid. But, I mean, dude, he would pull an eyeball at the, a blink of an eye, no pun intended, or grab you with that goozle. And, some of the stuff I've heard, and he was a guy that nobody wanted to mess with. So if that was his offense or his arsenal, what would you just say would Steve's method of attack be, or defense, or whatever?
Same, because the things that we've talked about, he knows all the pressure points of the human body. He knows all the striking points where to put somebody down. I mean, he knows there's so much that he knows just from listening to him talk as far as the human body, the anatomy of just how much pressure it takes to drop somebody and things he knows how to do. He's always thinking. It's like this one time something had happened and he was so quick to think that somebody knocked on his hotel room door. The story's not completely clear, but he was already in position to do damage to somebody that came through his door before you even knew it. And he's always ready, constantly. He's always and he's so fast too. He's really, really fast. He just knows. He's one of those people that he knows every pressure point, every spot to hit someone to where it could fatally kill him. He practices that all the time.
Well, how was it that you connected with him, and what's he doing now?
He owns a bail bondsman business. So he's doing that, and he has a martial arts school, an MMA school. He runs that, but that's what he's doing now.
Is he a guy that's happy now that he's out of the business and found a new way of living?
Yeah, he sounds like he's happy. He doesn't really have any desire to put himself back out there as far as wrestling or appearances or anything like that. He's content doing what he's doing. I know he's married. He's got 2 kids now. And he seems happy, so he seems perfectly content what he's doing.
Hey, this is Adam Carolla from the Adam Carolla Show. Bet Online continues to be your #1 source for all your football betting action. Bet Online has more ways to get in and stay in on action, with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting. From every NFL and college game to MLB, UFC, and NHL, futures as well. BetOnline remains your choice for sports wagering info. Head to the website today and take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level-up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. In between games, head over to BetOnline's casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline. The game starts here.
Hey, man, you brought up Brawl For All, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that because, that was set up almost, I guess it was for Dr. Death Steve Williams. They assumed that he was going to take this whole thing, and I guess that was going to be, after that, he was going to be an opponent for me. And so all of a sudden, the word comes down, and I barely remember this. So you take me through what your thoughts were when you heard about this, because I was on the inside, but I was looking in from the outside, thinking, okay, well, maybe I'm going to fight Dr. Death, or I'm going to work with Dr. Death after this, and boy, all of a sudden it didn't go as planned. So when you guys, some of you guys that were used to duking it out, Bart, you, all those guys, what were you thinking?
Well, I know I was riding with Bart at the time. Like you said, the whole thing was set up for Steve to come in because they didn't want to just all of a sudden put him with you and run a program. They wanted to bring him in, build him up, and the Brawl For All was a way to build him up to start working with you. And so they decided on this Brawl For All. I can't remember who came up with this crazy concept, but I wasn't even supposed to be in it. I wasn't even on their radar to be in it. that Tiger Ali Singh backed out of it, and he said he was going to beat everybody, but then when it came down to it, he backed out of it. And so Pritchard called me and asked me if I wanted to be in it, and so I was. So I got in it. And so when Steve heard about it, Blackman heard about it, he wanted in. So they put Steve in it, and actually, I think Blackman probably would have won the whole thing, but he was taking this thing so seriously, and this is the mindset of Steve Blackman. He was taking this thing so seriously, he was actually working out with guys, preparing for this Brawl For All, shooting in, taking guys down, like, you know, obviously boxing was included. He was practicing doing that, and this guy that he was practicing with, training with, was a lot heavier than Steve, and the guy ended up rolling on his knee and messed his knee up. So Steve had to back out of it. Obviously, Bart was in it, and when I was riding with Bart Gunn at the time, and he had called Bruce Pritchard and told Bruce that he was going to win the whole thing. And Bruce says, "I have no doubt you will. You know, good for you. I think you'll do well in it. Blah blah blah." And Bart was like, "No, Bruce." Because I think he actually thought Bruce was patronizing him. And he's like, "No, Bruce, I'm going to win this whole thing." Long story short, Bart ended up winning it. But on the way there, when Bart did fight Steve Williams and knock Steve out, that actually screwed up their whole plans for Steve Williams to work with you. And because they had no idea Bart was going to knock him out. And he was. And the thing is, too, see, during that whole fight between Bart and Steve Williams, the scorecards were completely wrong because the boys knew that the fix was in on that deal.
Yeah.
Because if you go back and watch it, Bart actually took Steve down more than Steve took him down, and Bart outpunched him, but yet the scorecards had Steve Williams ahead. And like Bart said, if they would have just told me what the deal was, you know, he would have had no problem putting Steve over, basically. And so, but Bart just went out there and did what Bart does, and Bart knocked him out and ended up screwing up their whole thing. And so, and that's how Bart ended up moving on and obviously knocking out Godfather, knocking out Bradshaw, and making his way to the end. And, but as far as, and Steve Williams, I mean, I was on, JR's podcast about this whole thing because JR was saying that he didn't pay off Steve to win. And I was just going by what I heard Steve say. And Steve's not here to defend himself, so I'm not really going to talk about it because we already talked about it. Me and JR already discussed it. But it just screwed up their whole storyline as far as Steve working with you when Bart knocked Steve out. Because, you know, their whole plan was for Steve Williams to win the whole thing. And they thought he was. And actually, the sad part about this whole thing is seeing somebody like Steve Williams get knocked out because of who he was, how big of a deal he was, and what a stud he was. And it was just really tough seeing that happen. But the boys all popped when it happened because JR was going around telling everybody how Steve Williams was going to walk through everybody. And people were tired of hearing that. The boys were tired of hearing that. And when Bart knocked him out, the boys, like, it just blew the roof off the back when the boys popped because everybody was sold out at the monitor watching the thing. And when Bart knocked him out, the boys popped.
Yeah, the thing about it was, you know, because Dr. Death Steve Williams was a huge star in Japan, you know, along with Terry Gordy, you know, and look at Hansen and Brody. All of those guys were over like gods in Japan. You know, to bring Dr. Death Steve Williams over here, he's like, what, 4-time All-American at Oklahoma. So, yeah, a lot of notoriety in Oklahoma, you know, watch territory, but on the big platform, because he'd spent so much time in Japan, and they decided to have this to make him, for me, as a formidable opponent. And that's a quick way to get it over. But turns out, man, when we're out there working, and it's very competitive, but we're working, we're cooperating with each other, we're trusting each other with our bodies, all of a sudden you turn something into a shoot. And, man, every single time there was a fight, dude, every monitor was sold out because all the boys, I mean, you kind of knew how it was supposed to be skewed. But, dude, when you throw on a full-on shoot, and these are guys that, you know, dude, you know, this is an opportunity.
Right. On top of winning $100,000? Shit. Come on.
It was great.
Exactly. You know, how can you – and see, that's the thing. It's like you cannot – plan for something like that to work out in your favor because it's not. when you dangle $100,000 carrot in front of somebody, especially a bunch of hungry boys, it's not going to work out like you think it is. And it didn't. And unfortunately, it didn't. And, and you really stop and think about it because of who Steve was, like you said, an All-American football player. He's a big deal in Japan. And then all that gets just wiped clean from getting knocked out. It's like, it's all of his credibility almost went out the window in a sense. It didn't, but it did, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And it's like they're bringing in this guy that's supposed to be one of the baddest men on the planet, and then Bart knocks him out. It almost wipes out his whole credibility, even though anybody can get knocked out at any given second. And that's why you don't pit the boys against each other like that. It was a bad idea to start with. And it's like, and the thing is, it's like, if they wanted him to work with you, there's a whole bunch of different ways to get him there instead of having to come in and just, and try to do a shoot fight for $100,000. And it's not going to work out. Not going to work out. There's so many different avenues to get him to where he needed to be to work with you than to do that.
Did anything out of that surprise you, out of any of the matchups, any of the outcomes? Or did it surprise you that Bart was knocking everybody out other than yourself? Did you know what kind of fighter he was? Because I'd talked to Billy Gunn because, man, we traveled a lot together. And then Bart would jump in there every now and then and stand at the Econo Lodge and those old, Red Deer, Mulehead, whatever it's called, all those towns up there in Canada. Man, we were hanging around. I never knew that Bart was such a badass fighter. And Billy goes, "Oh no, dude." He goes, in Apopka, wherever it was he's from, or Titus, Florida, wherever it is. I can't remember, but he says, man, he goes, when Bart walks in the bar, he's the man.
Yeah. I had no idea how bad he was. I knew he was, it's like, he's a big freaking, country boy. Obviously there is some, there's a lot of toughness there, but I didn't realize to what extent until I started watching him drop everybody. It's like, holy hell, I guess I survived that sumbitch. I don't know how I did, because I know he hit me, Steve. I was on one side of the ring, and when he hit me, I was on the other side, and I stood there, and I was like, how in the fuck did I get over here? I did. In the middle, I was like, how did I get over here? And all I know is I got hit, and next thing I was on the other side of the ring, and I was standing there. I was like, how in the hell did I get over here? And but I know he hits like a mule. I do know that. And but it didn't. It's like, it did surprise me that he walked through everybody like he did. It shocked me.
Hey, man, I know how it is. I know how it feels to walk out in front of a crowd and get into a squared circle and have a match, as well as you. All of a sudden, take me back to, it's the moment is now. You're walking out for that first fight, and it's a shoot. You've got boxing gloves on. You've probably thrown hands in the past for sure in fights, but now all of a sudden you've got these big-ass gloves. You're walking into a shoot. What was running through your mind as you walked to that ring and stepped through the ropes?
Not losing. That was what was going through my mind. It's not losing and getting knocked out.
But obviously, that's really it was a damn sure different state of mind than going out there to put on a match.
Oh, absolutely. The whole thing I was thinking is, obviously I wanted to win, but I had no idea. I mean, the big ass boxing gloves, it just, those things, they were pretty damn soft. But the thing is, it's like, when you're out there, I mean, the shit's real. It's like, okay, we're fixing to fight for real. And completely different mindset from going in the ring and wrestling, because it's like, okay, we know what we got to do. And as far as fighting, it's just whatever happens. And that's the mindset that I was going with, and because me and Bart, we agreed not to shoot in on each other. That's one thing, because we watched the past fights, and they were, to me, I thought they were kind of boring, because guys shooting in on each other, and it was like going down to the mat, and we wanted to fight, and that's what we agreed to do. It's like, okay, you don't shoot in on me, I won't shoot in on you, and we'll just stand there and fight. And that's what we did. And obviously he ended up moving on, which I'm happy for him, but it would have been nice. I mean, I still got $5,000 for just getting in the thing, but it's a whole completely different mindset, because first of all, everybody's ready to fight until they get hit with that first punch, and then it changes their whole freaking mind. like, okay, I didn't want to do this. But not saying that was with me, because I've been in fights before, and it's like, you know, you get hit, and you just throw back. But with Bart, when he hits you, you know you've been hit. It's like, I might as well have got ran over by a fucking truck. And that's so. But I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Hey, man, I remember one time you and me were working. We worked a lot back in the day. Back in the day, we'd do double shots on Saturdays and Sundays. You remember those, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And a double shot was when, the first show would usually start about, 2 or 3? 1 or 2?
I thought it was 12.
Could be 12.
12 or 1 o'clock when it started.
Okay, 12, 1 o'clock. So we'd work a show. All the boys say, hey, you either take a shower or just stay in your gear. And normally the next town over for that matinee show was going to be, give or take, about 100, 120 miles. And so we was working a double shot. And the first town was Pittsburgh. And where were we working that night? Was that Cincy?
I can't remember, Steve. I can't.
I can't remember. Whatever was when 100, 120 miles of Pittsburgh was the next shot. So anyway, I'm out there. I'm working with Bob, and I'm calling the match, and I'm working heel. Right, Bob? I'm working heel.
Yeah. I was a babyface.
Okay, so anyway, we locked up. We did a couple things, and me and Bob always had fun working with each other. And then, so I was thinking, okay, I guess I'm going to do the old slap spot with him. And the slap spot is, you know, after a couple of taps into the corner, you know, a couple of rough breaks, you know, referee has to come in, tension's starting to get a little high. And then all of a sudden, off a break, that heel would just reach back and just slap a dog shit out of that baby face. And so I slapped shit out of Bob, working style. I didn't hit him too hard.
I saw a few stars. I tell you that. I did see a few stars when you cracked me.
Come on.
I remember. I swear to God.
Straight up?
Straight up, yes, I did. I was like, okay, that was good. This has got to be better, though.
See, here's the thing. See, Bob, I was protecting the business. So anyway, we're right here. Here's the thing, and Bob and me were laughing about this over the phone, because since I'm slapping him first, that means he gets the return. That means I'm setting the standard, and he's either going to either take care of me or protect the business on his end as well. Holy shit, Bob reared back. He was supposed to. He slapped the dog shit out of me. My jaw went over like one of them old school typewriters and dinged, and I pushed it back in place.
It was like one of those deals where, okay, he cracked me. That was good. But, you know, it's like I got to crack back. And it's like, it's one of those deals where I saw stars. He's got to see stars, too.
Dude, the worst thing about getting slapped is the eyes watered. So I'm trying to be I'm out there. Well, you know, the house wasn't that great, so there wasn't a whole lot of people there. But I'm out there trying to look like a tough guy. I just slapped the shit out of Bob. He slaps me back. I got tears in my eyes. I looked over at Bob. The first thing I said, I ain't calling that fucking spot this afternoon.
Because I think we worked together the next night, and you didn't call, because I know I remember working with you on Raw. Yeah. I remember working with you on Raw, and you didn't call that spot, because I specifically remember asking you, did you want to do the slap spot? And you said, hell no. We are not doing that tonight. No, I remember that. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I remember that. I remember you saying to me, I'll never call that again. That was, I remember that. I
popped you as soon as I said that. You started laughing, and we're sitting there standing in the middle of the ring 3 feet away from each other, and Bob's laughing his ass off. I'm crying. It's like, well, we better go a different direction with this match.
I was just laughing because of what you said. That's what makes me laugh. Believe me, I wanted to cry.
Dude, here's the thing. After I took that damn slap from you, I was thinking to myself, in retrospect, I probably could have won Brawl For All.
Yeah, you could have.
I don't know if I could have knocked anybody out, but if I could survive that fucking paw, I might have been able to survive Brawl For All. Anyway.
You definitely went further than I did. That's for sure.
Dude, who was some of your favorite guys to work with, just as far as action and you being able to do your shit? Because you always like to work snug. I like to work snug as well. Not crazy snug. I wouldn't call it strong style. I like to make my shit believable. You know, lay it in.
Right.
I wasn't trying to kill anybody. But,
No.
I was a guy, dude, and one time, a guy hit me really, really stiff, and it was Booker T. And I was talking to Booker T on the phone the other day, and we were laughing again about it. And boy, he just threw a jab and just knocked my block off. And normally, I'm really, really patient as far as sending receipts. Going back to the old European tour when Boss Man was having an off night, and he hit me about 6 or 7 times with live rounds, and he had that quick left hand. And I finally, Earl he had that little shit-eating grin on his face, Earl Hebner. He's like, he knows I'm going to come back and do something. And I was white hot. And finally, I'd had enough of those damn things. And I grabbed Boss Man by the arm. I sent him into the rope, and I said, watch a clothesline. And here comes big old Ray Traylor. I love Ray. He was such a good guy. He was so funny. And here comes big Ray running straight up, expecting that clothesline right below his throat in that high chest area. And I balled up my fist, and I hit him vertically with my forearm right between his eyes, Bob, as hard as I could. And it sounded like a gunshot.
Oh, Jesus.
Big Boss Man went down to his knees, and it was almost like one of those Saturday morning cartoons where you see the stars circling around over his head because the damn near knocked him out. And he just had this little grin on his face, and he looked up at me, and he was damn near as tall as me on his knees. He looked up at me, and he had this little smile on his face. He goes, okay. Meaning, he got it. He knew where the receipt was coming from. But going back to Booker T, when Booker T lit me up, dude, immediately, he hit me so damn hard, I threw a right hand. And because my elbow does not straighten out all the way, it stopped right when I hit his chin. But I was swinging for the fence.
Oh, geez.
And so anyway, we both started laughing. We finished the match, and we got in the back. And anyway, we laughed our ass off because I always loved working with Booker T. But how patient were with you, or how frustrated would guys get with you when you were working your style? And I understand why you work your style, but how did people deal with you? Or did they ever say, hey, dude, can you lighten up a little bit? Or what was the story there? Because everybody has a different MO.
Right. See, I was like you. I wanted it to be believable. I am one of the biggest believers. I take what I give, and I am the first person. If I crack somebody, I expect it back, and that's just how. That was just a rule of thumb for me, how I went by. And like I liked working with guys. I liked working with you, obviously. I liked working with Jericho. I liked working with Benoit. I liked working with Eddie. I liked working pretty much with everybody straight across the board. But there were certain guys like Benoit, for example, like if you see your name across from his, he's one of those guys where you better be ready to bring it, because if you don't, he's going to eat you alive, and you better keep up. He was one of those kind of guys. And other guys were like that, like Jericho. Jericho's like that too. He'll eat you alive if you let him. But I was one of those kind of guys where it's like, how I work with you, that's how you work with me. And you could be as rough as you want. I don't care. My whole thing was my nose and my teeth. That was the no zone.
Yep.
If you knock my teeth out, guess what? We're going to have a problem. And it's like, I didn't care how hard I got hit. To me, it was as long as I don't get hurt, that's all that matters. And as long as I don't hurt somebody else, that's all that matters. My whole career, I worked there. I never hurt one person. Yeah, I'm rough. Don't get me wrong. I'm very physical and very rough. But I have never hurt one person to where they'd be out of work for the next night. I've never done that. And I've always liked the physicality of wrestling. And my whole thing was, I don't want people to see through what I do. Yeah, they know the deal. The fans know what's up.
Yep. But
I want to put doubt in their mind. I've just always, I liked working with Brock because he's a big physical guy, and I liked working with him. And just anybody that was physical, I liked working with. The one guy that nobody ever talks about that was physical, or actually the two guys. One was Test, and the other one was Gene Snitsky. Gene Snitsky is like running into a brick wall. And when he hits you, and I don't know, I see Gino, I think with me, Gene thinks, you know what, Bob, I could just do whatever I want to him, and he's going to be okay with it. And I was, but goddamn, that son of a bitch, he tried to hurt me. And it was funny because he would laugh. Every time he'd do something to me, he would laugh. And I remember one night in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, that bastard hit me so hard, and I picked up a chair and I cracked him with a chair, Steve, and I laced him wide open. I mean, I ripped him wide open with that chair. Like, it looked like a pig was slaughtered in that ring. And which he was fine with it because we were both laughing about it when, of course I made sure he was all right. But Gene is somebody like Snitsky was a guy that I enjoyed working with him, but gosh dang, he was rough. I mean, he really was. And Tess was rough too, which I don't know if it was just with me that they were like, they'd go overboard with, which again, I never complained. I actually enjoyed it, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I actually enjoyed how rough they were. I guess it makes it easier to sell, too, for me.
One time they put me in the ring. It was a gauntlet match. I had to go through, 3 or 4 different guys. It was at a period of my career. I was pretty burned out, and all of a sudden I see him to be working with Tess, and Tess is no longer with us. I wish he was. But anyway, right. It was a television taping, Monday Night Raw, something like that, and Tess was fairly green. He was a big, tall, strong son of a bitch. He was strong. He was a big dude, and he was strong. And so, man, all of a sudden, he goes to send me into the ropes. And dude, when I'm sending somebody in the ropes, I'm going to send their ass into the ropes. But Jesus Christ, this guy acted like he was trying to start a lawnmower and been sitting out in the yard for about 15 years. He damn near yanked my left arm out of a damn socket. I went and hit the damn turnbuckle, and that son bitch come charging. Boy, I promptly put a boot right in his damn chin. I was like, holy fuck. I was like, dude, slow down. He would send me into those ropes so hard. He was so green. I think he was excited because it was TV, and I'm at burnout stage, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, fucking really?
Well, and to his defense, he doesn't know, so he's just going out there and he's just doing everything he can. And and you know as well as I do, guys that first come on, they always rush. It's TV, so they rush. And he just probably didn't know any better, to his defense, and it's one of those things that, and plus what makes it worse is he's like 6'6", 275, and he wants to make a good showing too. So obviously it was one of those deals where he didn't know any. Nobody got to him and said, hey, this is a work.
But he was a good dude. I wish he was still around. I mean, he got caught in some, I guess his pain pills and everything else. Too many of the guys have left us, and it's a shame.
Yeah. This October, Fear is free on Pluto TV with horror movie collections from Paranormal Activity, The Ring.
You will die in 7 days.
Scream. And From Dusk Till Dawn.
This is my kind of place.
And don't miss the man-made nightmares in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or the world-ending chaos in 28 Days Later.
There's something in the blood.
All the scares, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
What are you doing now? I mean, I know you're doing the training to do the alone thing, your survival training and stuff like that. But when you started doing all this camping and you married your current wife, your former sweetheart, and you're living in Iowa, like, how do you guys decide where you want to go?
Just places that we see on TV or places we read about, or just like when we go across country, there's somewhere we see that we want to explore, we'll go do that. And like when we take trips and stuff like that, we typically drive, because when we fly, obviously, number one, I don't like to fly.
No.
And number two, when we drive across country, at least we stop and go wherever we want to go. And we enjoy, seeing different things. And the thing is, we just pick where we want to go and just go there and look at, and explore. And there was no rhyme or reason or anything. We just places we've always wanted to go.
Are y'all dry camping with a tent and a couple sleeping bags and like a Coleman stove to cook with? What are you doing for your meal prep out there?
Yeah, we do that. And sometimes we'll stop at campgrounds and camp, or like my wife, she was in the military for 25 years. She was in the Air Force. And so sometimes we'll stay at Air Force Base. And we'll stay there because, her being retired from the Air Force, they get perks and stuff as far as staying on bases and everything. So we'll do that. But as far as camping and stuff, yeah, we just cook on a stove over a fire, or one of those gas little stoves or whatever. But most of the time over a fire. And there was something else I was going to say, and I freaking forgot. But anyway, what was it? Another thing too. You talk about camping and survival stuff like that. She just reminded me, the Appalachian Trail. I've been looking at stuff like that as far as the Appalachian Trail. It's a trail that starts in Georgia. I think it's in Springer Gap, Georgia, somewhere around there. And it goes all the way to Maine. It's a trail you literally walk through the mountains all the way up through Maine to Canada. And there's a Pacific Crest Trail over on the west coast that goes from Mexico, starts in the California border, Mexico state line, and it goes all the way up to Canada, the Washington, Canada line right there. And it's 2,400 miles. And people actually spend 4 or 5 months, 6 months hiking these trails. And that's a goal of mine that I'm shooting for, to go do that too. And when I do it, I'm gonna video all of it. I'm gonna put a video together and video all that. So that's something else that's another goal of mine also. And if I don't get on the Alone show, then I'm for sure gonna do that. But I'm not sure which trail, either the Appalachian or the Pacific Crest Trail.
We talked the other day on the phone. You were saying with the Alone thing, they dump you out there. You're in the middle of nowhere. Maybe they've given you a couple of supplies, but then you are on your own. So you have like a camera, a tripod, and you have to film everything yourself. So if you get on the show, more power to you and good luck. But if you don't, do you know how to edit?
No, I've got somebody to do that for me. See, the thing is with the Alone show, and that's something I forgot to talk about too. They give you all the camera equipment. They give you everything you need. There's no production crew with you or anything. They give you all the camera equipment, all the batteries, everything. And when they do the medical check, that's when they refresh your battery, give you new batteries and stuff like that. But you have to literally video every step you make out there. Everything you do, you have to video. So that way they turn around and edit it. That's how they edit and put the whole show together. From the 10 contestants, the 10 people, is they put everything together, pick out the best parts of what they're doing, and put the whole show together that way. And that's how the whole Alone show is produced. So you're basically literally out there by yourself alone, but you're videoing everything you do too. Like when you fish, you video. When you cook, you video. Everything. You walk through the woods, you video everything. So, a lot of people just talk into the camera and just talk and tell stories and stuff like that. So, that's one thing that everybody does. And so that's how the show is put together. They don't, no production crew whatsoever is out there with you. You're literally alone.
Are you doing any wrestling at all anymore?
I do some. I don't do much. I do mostly appearances now, here and there. But I pick and choose what I want to do. I'm home more than I'm gone. I don't want to be gone every weekend. I could be gone somewhere every weekend if I wanted to, but I choose not to. I enjoy my time at home. I enjoy my time with my wife and my dog. Me and my wife are literally together 24/7, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I like my life like that. And that's, like I said, every once in a while I'll go do this stuff, go do appearances here and there, but I pick and choose what I want to do. It's not like, okay, this weekend I'm going here, next weekend I'm going there. It's like, okay, well, in a couple of weeks I go somewhere. Well, maybe another 4 weeks I'll go somewhere else. So, but most of the time I'm home, and that's how I want it. I enjoy what I do and the way I do it. I just pick and choose what I want to do.
Man, these days, as far as watching television, is there anything on TV or any of the shows like on a Netflix or Amazon or whatever the hell it is that you watch? Like, for instance, my wife and I just finished the last episode of Longmire, 6 seasons. And I'm not going to drop any spoilers, but goddamn, that was a disappointing ending to 6 seasons. So anyway, we just got finished watching Longmire, shot over in Wyoming. It was cool. The sheriff riding around in a Ford Bronco solving crimes.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to watch on TV? Is it sports? Is it UFC? Or what are you watching?
I love watching UFC. I keep up with that. I love watching UFC. I'm a big UFC fan. But as far as like the Netflix series, me and my wife just finished watching Dexter. That was a hell of a show, hell of a there was 9 seasons of that, I think. And we kind of binge watched that. Not all in one sitting.
Right.
It took a while. And now we're watching OZARK, which we watched the first season of OZARK. They just started the second season, and we're watching OZARK, so which is good. But other than that, I mostly watch survival shows and those automotive car building shows.
Yeah.
That's what I watch. To be honest, I haven't watched wrestling. I have no desire to watch wrestling.
Well, hang on. That's my next question. But going back to Ozark, Kristen and I, my wife and I, we watched the first season, and we know it just came back on. So last night we put first season on, last episode, because it's been so long, and I've been hitting it with so many steel chairs, I can't remember what the fuck happened. So last night we refreshed ourselves. We got about halfway through it, and it was time to pull the plug and go to bed. So we'll watch the other half tonight, and then we'll start off fresh on Ozark. But man, that is anybody out there that ain't watching Ozarks, I highly recommend it. You too, Bob?
Yeah, absolutely. But you've got to watch the first season. You've got to watch that. Otherwise, it won't make any sense.
Oh, yeah, 100% you got to watch the first season, especially that first episode, because I was sitting there, my wife was telling me, she watched the whole first season without me, and she kept telling me, Steve, I had my head up my ass. She goes, you got to watch this Ozarks, man. I'm telling you, you'll really like it. So finally I said, well, if I want to spend any time with my wife, I better watch this damn show. So, man, we're watching, I'm trying to look at my computer. I kind of half-assed, don't want to watch it. And all of a sudden that shit goes down. Esai Morales' character, is getting gypped. He's the number 2 cocaine dealer in the world. All of a sudden the shit hits the fan, and I was hooked. So, and then that night, all those seedy people, those seedy characters down there in the Ozarks, Lake of the Ozarks. And so, man, I dig that show. I love that show.
Yeah, Jason Bateman is just he is so good. He is such a good actor. I've always thought he was good.
Dude, when I was thinking about it, the dude was new to me because my wife says, well, he's in a lot of sitcom type stuff. I don't know anything about him. I'd heard his name, like living out there in L.A., I heard the dude's name, but I didn't know what the fuck he was in. Well, all of a sudden, man, you talk about an excellent, excellent actor. And Laura Linney's awesome as well. I love her.
Oh, absolutely.
But that whole shebang is good. But, yeah, him in the lead is money.
Yeah. Oh, he to me, his expressions are everything. He's so dry, but it's priceless. Like you said, he's money.
But I love the way, because his character is so smart, I love the way he processes information. All of a sudden, his partner gets capped, and he sees that damn flyer down there on the ground, and all of a sudden, he's got to come up with some type of plan to keep this motherfucker from killing him. And so, he's a smooth-talking guy, and now all of a sudden, he's dealing with, we're just watching the last episode of the first season. Man, that dude, I can't remember his name, is running him drugs, and they're selling them on the water. And the preacher guy just kind of wigged out and shit the bed. And so now there was a baby laying on his table because something happened. The sheriff just goes out to those people's house that are selling that heroin. And boy, that lady will cap somebody in a heartbeat. So it's just it's a badass story. I don't want to keep talking about it on the podcast, but damn, what was I fixing to ask you? Oh, you said that you didn't watch The Business anymore. I DVR the shows. I try to keep up with the shows. I watched SummerSlam and NXT before that, and that was a real solid show. Why don't you watch The Business anymore?
I just don't. Honestly, Steve, I don't think about watching the show. I don't. Like this morning when I got up and I was going through Twitter and I was like, saw how they were talking about Raw, and I was like, oh shit, it was on last night. So it's like a lot of times I don't think about it, and it's just not on my radar for whatever reason. It's not that I don't want to watch it. I think I'm watching other things that I'm more interested in. So I just don't watch it. And honestly, I have no reason why I don't watch it. I just don't. And I mean, I should, because it's like, that was my livelihood. That's what I did. And I should keep up with it, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't have a reason why I don't watch it, to be honest.
What sparked your interest in the UFC, and when did you start watching that kind of on a real steady basis?
I like the physicality of it. I think that's what I gravitate to, is physicality. Because it's funny, because when I was a kid, I never knew wrestling existed. Watching Saturday morning roller derby on Saturday morning as a kid, the physicality of roller derby hooked me. And I was like, that's what I want to do when I get older. I want to be a roller derby person. And then when we moved to Oregon and I saw professional wrestling for the first time, I think I was 8 years old, right around 8 years old. And I saw big time wrestling out of Sacramento, California, where Pat Patterson, Jimmy Snuka was down there too. Peter Maivia, like Ray Stevens, all these guys were down there. Then Mr. Wrestling too. And then I saw that on Saturday when we first got cable. I was like, holy hell, wow, what is this? And then Saturday night at 8:30, Portland Wrestling came on. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And so my Saturday afternoon and Saturday night, that's all I did was watch wrestling. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I mean, when I was 8, 9 years old, I knew what I wanted to do. And so I grew up watching Portland wrestling and big time wrestling. And that's how I got started. I first wanted to be a roller derby guy and then saw wrestling and it was like, oh, wait a minute, this is even better than that. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, but I had the same 1-2 combination too coming up in Texas. I grew up doing the same thing. I watched Houston wrestling. Paul Bosch was a promoter, and man, they had a hell of a damn roster. And then roller derby would come on, and like, man, I was like you. I was hooked on both, and I really gravitated toward wrestling. And I was 7 or 8, about the same age as you, and so man, wrestling was a shoot. But here's the thing, so was roller derby.
Exactly. I was like, oh my God, how they're beating each other up and they have these match races and everything. And I was like, and they had the jammers and all that. And I was like, I wanted to be one of the jammers and stuff. And, cause back then they had the track, like they had the bank track with the railing around it. And that was to me, that was it. I was like, holy heck, it doesn't get any better than this.
No, but it was like the same formula as wrestling, because they'd go out there skating in that damn it was like they're skating on that oval. Yeah. They had those little banisters around a guardrail, and all of a sudden the baby faces are had a good team and a bad team basically. Then all of a sudden to get some heat, they'd knock one of the chicks or whatever over the top rail. They'd take a hell of a damn bump and boy, come on, my gosh, you motherfucker! And sure enough, later on down the road, someone would get slingshotted into that other son of a bitch that knocked the person over, and they'd get their revenge, and everybody be laughing and joke. I mean, everything would be all good, but you had sets of heat, you had little comebacks and all kinds of shit in those things.
Oh, absolutely. And then they'd get into the fight where they each had each other's jersey, and they'd start hitting each other, and then one of them would slam the other one's head into the railing, and that would kind of end the fight right there, and they'd skate off, and it was, to me, I thought that was real. I really did. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And then, of course, got into wrestling and stuff like that. And then when I moved to Alabama, there was World-Class Championship Wrestling. There was Mid-South Wrestling from Watts' territory. And and then there was Continental. So I was wrapped around wrestling every Saturday. I mean, my day was nothing but wrestling every weekend. And and that's how I was hooked. I mean, there was no getting away from that.
I equate so much of you with Alabama because you were down there for so long, and that's where you got your start as far as in the ring and training and stuff like that. And you were welding down there. And then you ended up in Iowa, and then I didn't know you were from Grants Pass, Oregon. And hell, I forget that you were even born in California because you always sounded more Alabama to me. So you were down in Alabama so long. Did you not like Alabama, or you were just ready to get out? And I know your wife was in Iowa, but why not stay in Alabama? It seems like a good place to be.
Well, it was. Don't get me wrong. I liked Mobile. I loved Mobile. But I was just ready for a change.
Yep.
And what's funny about the whole thing, Linda, my wife, she was stationed in Montgomery. So she was down there in Alabama for 4 or 5 years as it was too. And it's just funny because, she spent it because we both came from Grants Pass, Oregon, and here she's in Alabama, I'm in Alabama. But more so than that, she was in Spain. She was actually all stationed all over, Minneapolis, South Carolina, North Carolina, Sacramento, California. So she was everywhere, and she ended up in Iowa. So I figured, it's like, okay, time for a change. I wanted a change anyway. So it worked out perfect. Up here, there's humidity here and stuff like that. but not to the extent there is in Alabama and the South. I mean, I love the South. I grew up, most of my adult life was there, so the South has always got a special place in my heart. I loved it down there anyway. It's just, I'm a redneck anyway as it is, and I just fit in down there. But I like it here too. People always ask me why here. Like when I was in Mobile, I was working out at a gym there, and I was working out and said, "Oh, is WWE here in town this weekend?" I'm like, "No, I live here." "What do you live here for?" "Well, I got to live somewhere." And it's like everywhere I go, people are like, "What are you doing here?" "Well, I live here." Why here? It's like, well, where should I live? You tell me. Where should I live? You know, and it's like, it's the thing is, the way I look at it, no matter where I was to live or I do live, you can find the same things to do here that you can there or anywhere else. You just have to go do it. That's the way I look at it. It's like being in Iowa is no different than being in Mobile. The weather's different during the wintertime, but there's really no difference. Yeah, the Gulf Coast, you're down by the water, but if I wanted to go to the water, I just go to the Mississippi and float up and down the river. So it's what you make of wherever you're at. And every place is the same. Like California is beautiful weather. You're not going to beat the weather there.
Nope.
It's beautiful weather. But for me, I don't want to live in California.
Dude, there's too much traffic, especially in Los Angeles. That's why, we're in Nevada. We sold our place in Texas. We got this a smaller place out here, but the thing out here is everything is, BLM. It's public land. Right. So like we went out the other day, and man, we were on, literally hundreds of thousands of acres of just land. And, the road system was actually pretty decent. There was some technical stuff on some rocks, some climbing, and some descents that was pretty technical. But, a lot of the road system is so good. I just have an absolute blast out there. So I'm looking to make the transition to being out here at least 80-20 or, whatever ratio I can make it, just because I just want to get out of the city. But enough about me. Dude, what?
No, see, I can't. That's the question I have. It's like, see, when I think of Steve Austin, I think of Texas. I think of, Utah. I think of Wyoming. I think of Montana. I think of, the country. It's like, I don't think of Steve Austin in L.A. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and it's like, I was out in L.A. Me and my wife were out in L.A. a couple months ago, and I love visiting out there. My sister lives out there. I love being out there, but I'm ready to go because the traffic is just crazy. And it's like, I can't picture you out there. I know you have to be there, but I can't picture Steve Austin in L.A. I just can't do it.
I know, and we were supposed to hook up on your visit to L.A., but I just came back over to Nevada, so I shot you that text message. So we got to hook up in person one of these days, whether it's camping or in L.A. or whatever. But yeah, my whole thing is with L.A., when I got out of business at 38 years of age, I stayed there. I was living in a gated community in San Antonio where a lot of the Spurs live. George Strait used to live there. His house is currently for sale. And when I got out of wrestling business, I hunted, I fished, and I drank. I told that story for so many years, I won't tell it again, but I did that shit for 3 years. And I finally said, dude, you know what? The R word always sounds good, but if you're ready to do it, but at 38 years of age, you're not ready to do it. So I said, I don't want to get into acting, but I'd done some of those episodes of Nash Bridges. So I said, if you don't want to go back to driving a forklift, pro wrestling doesn't teach you anything about any other trade, so it's not like you're going to go fill out a resume and say, yep, I got 13 years in a squared circle. Doesn't apply to anything we're doing here on this job, but here's my resume. So I said, shit, I'll go out there to L.A., see if I can strike something up. I moved in with Dallas Page and just kind of, fiddle-fucked around, and then finally started making some low-budget movies and found reality television. But enough of that. The traffic is so severe out there. I just had a gut full of it. And I told my wife, we're trying to do some remodeling out here in Nevada, and I said, whenever we get done, I said, man, I'm done with L.A. Maybe we'll maintain a place there or whatever, just come and go, because her family is there. But just for me, I'm ready to get out of Dodge. It's just too much. And it's like glass is always half full with me. But that being said, I gotta think to myself, Steve, do you want to wake up in the mountains with a chance to ride your four-wheeler, your side-by-side, or whatever you want to do? Just go out and shoot your gun? Or do you want to sit in traffic on the 405 or all those other places and be in the grind if you ain't got to be in the grind. So I want to be in a place that I'm happy. And in Texas got too far to go back and forth. And it's being in this area, I'm only, within 500 miles of Los Angeles rather than 1,500. So, it suits me well. So I'm looking forward to getting out of LA though, because I've been there long enough. As far as near-term goals, what are things right now that you want to do? I know you want to be on loan. I know you're training for that and you like the outdoors, but as far as, hey, what you and your wife want to do or you want to do, goals, bucket list type things, what is there?
We'd like to move, and we talk about moving either back to Oregon or up into Door County, Wisconsin. We're just not sure yet which direction we want to go as far as that. But right now we're just taking it day by day and just seeing, what happens day by day as far as we just don't have any definite plans right now, which direction we want to go. And so we'd like to buy a piece of property and build a nice cabin on that property, but we just haven't decided which direction we want to go yet. And so, there's reasons why we haven't gone yet. That's what we want to do, but we're just not sure which way we want to go yet.
A lot of times when you think of Wisconsin, you just think of Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a neat town in and of itself. Lots of beer over there. It was a good crowd to wrestle in front of, the Mecca. But, Wisconsin and, Green Bay is such an interesting town just because it's not a very big town, and every single weekend that stadium for the Packers is chock full. But I remember when we used to go through La Crosse, Wisconsin. I don't know if you remember that town, and I don't know what county you're talking about, but that was a beautiful area that I really liked.
Yeah.
What is the county you're talking about?
Oh, it's up in Door County. It's that peninsula between Green Bay and Lake Michigan.
Okay.
And it's so beautiful up there. It's so peaceful. We do a lot of kayaking and paddleboarding up there. And every chance we get, we go up there. It's like it's almost like it's a country of its own within the United States. And people up there are just so nice. There's so much land up there, and there's so much history up there. It's beautiful country. It's nothing like the mountains, but it's beautiful up there. You got the lake, and just there's so much to do. So much stuff to do, and that's. And whenever we go up there, it's almost like it recharges our batteries every time we go up there. And it's like we don't ever want to leave to come back. It's one of our favorite places to go.
Dude, are you tied in like with where you live in Iowa? Do you have a bunch of people that you hang out with?
No, I'm
same here.
I actually don't. I don't do anything with anybody really. There's a friend of mine. He's a contractor. I go snowmobiling with him whenever it snows. But as far as really hanging out with anybody, me and my wife my wife is who I hang out with. Me, her, and my dog, and that's it. That's it. I'm kind of a loner basically, really. And it doesn't bother me. That's the way I like it, and that's the way I want it. It's like that's what I want.
Oh, I tell people the same thing. Because it's interesting being in an entertainment business. We're always around people, and many times we were the center of attraction because we were performing in a ring. We're hanging out with the guys, driving up and down the road, and being around people's fine, but left to my own devices, man, I just soon, be in the middle of nowhere by myself or with my wife, but I really don't need a whole lot other than, my buggies, my four-wheeler, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's funny because I don't need material things to make me happy. As long as I wake up in the morning and see my wife laying next to me, that's all that matters to me, and my dog, of course. I'm like you though. I like my four-wheelers. I like my toys, and as long as I got something to do like that, that's all that matters to me. And I've always got something to do. So, and it's like one of those deals where me and my wife get up in the morning. It's like, okay, what do you want to do today? And we just figure out what we want to do and we do it. And there's, and I wouldn't have it any other way, to be perfectly honest.
Bob, how can people find you on social media, or what else? Is there anything that you wanted to promote or talk about?
I have Twitter at the Bob Holly, and that's it. That's the only thing I have. I don't have Instagram. I don't have Facebook. I haven't had Facebook. Actually, I got rid of my Facebook after I found Linda. So, but yeah, that's on Twitter. That's at the Bob Holly. That's how people can find me. And I actually, believe it or not, I answer everybody. I may not answer somebody right away, but I actually answer everybody. Yeah, I don't have the millions of followers that you got, Steve, so I can understand why you don't answer everybody. But I can actually answer everybody because I've got like 70,000, 60,000 followers. So it's easy for me to answer people. And but I try to answer everybody that I can when I get time to. So, but that's all I got. I don't have any other social media, so I actually content with Twitter. I don't need the other stuff. So, man,
you know what though, Bob? As much as you travel and as many cool things as you do, I imagine they're going to take your cell phone away from you if you do the alone thing, because you're going to be left to your own devices, their camera, and no communication with the outside world. But in your camping endeavors, dude, you ought to start your Instagram account, because you start your Instagram, Bob Holly or the Bob Holly, whatever it is. And, you know, the thing I like about Instagram is you ain't got to write, you know, any words if you don't want to. You can put some hashtags or this, that, or whatever on there, but it's all pictures. And so y'all are seeing so many beautiful places. Man, you start your Instagram page, you just pick one of your pictures, post it, done deal. And I think it's a neat way to document your travels, or, you know, another way for your fan base to stay in touch with you or see what you're doing. So I've enjoyed Instagram, and I actually started using that way more than Twitter, just because you take a picture, few words, or nothing at all is what it is. So I can't believe, I'll never forget, I was just filmed a low budget movie called Damage. Probably 10 years ago, better. I don't remember. And I was at the racetrack in Pomona or Fontana, whatever it is, and I needed to promote the movie. And someone had been telling me about this new social media thing called Twitter. It had been around for about a year or two by then. And I'm trying to understand this, because I never was on Facebook. I never was on nothing. And I said, well, let me understand this. I said, it's called Twitter, and when you send a message, it's called a tweet. Well, you know, I consider myself a pretty tough dude, you know. And all of a sudden, you know, I jump on social media and send out tweets. So, you know, I said, fuck it, because, you know, at some point you just got to join in to the conversation to have any kind of awareness or word or whatever. And so I started. And all these years later, you know, I'm glad I started it. But, you know, when I get somebody that says anything negative on my Twitter account or on my Instagram account, dude, I just go directly to mute and block. And it's like, you know, I'm on social media, try to have fun with it, and try to communicate with people. But when someone gets on there and starts trashing me, this, that, or whatever, it's just like, man, you wouldn't do that to my face. And so I didn't give them a time of day. It's just block.
I don't either. I'm the same way. You know, it's funny because I've never used any foul language on Twitter. I've never engaged in any banter between somebody bad-mouthing me. I've never done that. And I'm like you, I ignore it. And so I just don't give them the energy to, and I'm like you, I just ignore it.
Well, dude, to me, I'm at this stage in my life where, like I said, glass half full. If someone wants to be an asshole, this, that, or whatever, I'm not going to get dragged down by it. I just want to do things that make me happy, make my wife happy, my dogs happy, and have a good time. When you get somebody hiding behind this picture of an egg, calling you every name in the book, it's like, all right, you brave son of a bitch. I'll handle this real easy. Mute and block. We'll catch you down the road.
That's right. And see, a lot of times too, Steve, those people that are trying to drag you down or dragging anybody down, a lot of times those are people that are miserable. So they're trying to make sure you're miserable too, because they don't want to be alone as far as misery. So, and that's the way I look at it. It's like, okay, this person's got something going on in their life where they have to make themselves feel better by putting somebody else down. And that's the way I look at it. And I don't even give them the power or the energy to get me going or get me pissed off, because I just look at it like they're irrelevant in my life anyway. So,
hey, dude, on a final note, you were in L.A. Did you do an appearance in L.A. or was it a wrestling show?
It was a wrestling show, that Bumps and Brews thing.
Yeah.
I did. Yep, that's what I did. It was an awesome, awesome show. They were awesome people. And I did a wrestling seminar also while I was there. So, but that Bumps and Bruises they were awesome to work for.
When you say a wrestling seminar, what were you talking about?
Wrestling, doing a private seminar where there's a wrestling school there, and all their students, like me and Al Snow, came in and just went over the ins and outs of wrestling and so forth.
So, but informational.
Yeah, well, teach them the different things as far as locking up and the way of the locker room, proper etiquette, promos, how to deliver promos, and so forth. Just basically cover as much ground as you can within that few hours. Not that you can cover everything, but you give them information that'll try to help them along with their career as far as bettering their career and getting somewhere.
Gotcha. Just drop us a 411 on them.
Exactly.
Hey, man, we got to stay in touch. And, I'm the worst about texting people and stuff like that. And, boy, I'll tell you what.
I got to come out to Utah. I'll drive my damn Jeep out to Utah.
Utah? I'm in Nevada.
Nevada.
Yeah, you'll be Nevada. A state away. But come out to Nevada, because I'll tell you what, I was trying to get a hold of Bob for this podcast, and man, I never would return my calls. Every now and I get a text message. Finally, I cut a couple of scathing promos on his damn voicemail. I said, God damn, I thought I was going to find you on the back of a milk carton. Try not to be so hard to reach.
It was like I was in witness protection. I'd get your text and it would make me laugh, and then I would listen to your message and I would laugh my ass off because the delivery of the message was good. It was funny. I mean, it laughed, and I was like, I know I got to get in touch with Steve. I know I do. Otherwise, he's going to think I hate his guy.
Well, I figure, hell, everybody else hates me. Why can't Bob join in on the fun?
But the thing is, I don't carry my phone around. I'm not most of the time my phone sits on the kitchen table. Oh. Like when I leave the house, when I'm home and I leave the house, my phone sits on the kitchen table. Like if we go out and about, like shopping or grocery shopping or whatever we have to do, take the dog to the vet or we go for a walk in the woods or something, my phone stays on the kitchen table. So I don't carry it with me outside the house unless I'm going out of town or going somewhere where I'm not going to be home. That's the only time. So it's like, somebody can send me a message and I may not see it for 4, 5, 6 hours. So, and then by the time I get home, it's too late to respond, and then I'll respond the next day or I'll forget. So not making any excuses. I just don't carry my phone.
No, man, but I'm the same way. I always tell everybody, God damn, I said, man, I sent you a text message how many weeks or months ago? I said, man, I'm sorry. I said, everybody hates me. I'm bad at returning text messages. I never return calls. My wife will look at my phone and she goes, you got 6 messages there, don't you? And I said, yeah, I can see that. She said, well, when are you going to listen to them? I said, I don't know. It's all a couple of weeks go by.
Get a minute.
Yeah, let's just say, would you please listen to those messages? They might be important. And I said, well, hell, it's only so-and-so or so-and-so and so-and-so. What could they have to say? So anyway, right. I got a ton of heat on me.
Well, my wife, she'll sit there. I'll tell her, I'll say, Steve Austin texted me. I need to text him back. And I'll be like, she'll sit there like, I'll wait. And she'll go, did you text Steve back? No. And then she'll ask me later on, did you text Steve back? No, I'm going to. So she's always reminding me the same way with you. It's like she's always reminding me, hey, you need to call Steve or you need to call such and such or somebody. It's like, I'm like, I get it. I know. I will.
we got to go on a camping trip together. But if we do, I'm going to drag my camper behind my truck. My beat up ass carcass. I got to have my damn CPAP machine plugged into my damn battery.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on, Steve. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, it's good catching up with you.
Yes, sir. It always is.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset. But before I do that, I want to thank my guest, Bob Holly, for coming on the podcast today. Check out his book on Amazon. It's a badass book. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and you can too. It's The Hardcore Truth, the Bob Holly story, and Bob tells it like it is. Bottom line. Hey, man, I got the best damn IPA on the planet sitting right over here in El Segundo, California. It's called Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA. They're selling out of it because everybody wants it. That's how good this beer is. If you swing through Los Angeles, like a couple of cats from England did, they sent me a tweet on Twitter. They came all the way down here from the UK to take care of business. And while they were taking care of business, they went down to the brewery to check out some Broken Skull IPA, and they loved it. Stop by the brewery at 140 Main Street and tell them Steve Austin sent your ass to get some Broken Skull IPA. If you're in Cali, Southern Cali, you can find it at Whole Foods and Total Wines. If you ain't in Cali, you're probably shit out of luck. And while I'm talking about things that are great, my Cold Steel Broken Skull knife and my Cold Steel Working Man's knives, 2 different price points, 2 badass knives. You can find both of these knives at my new Amazon store. Amazon's got the best price on both knives. Just go to amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin, or go directly to the Cold Steel Knives website and check out all their badass products. Folks, I am on social media. Twitter and Instagram at Steve Austin BSR. If you spot a fake account, please report it to me so I can get their ass off. Until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.